A young college co-ed is found murdered, her lifeless body floating in an icy lake.
Captain, where was the body found?
Actually, it was found right here.
And who killed her has never been much of a mystery to this veteran detective.
I feel like I know who did it.
There's only one problem.
I just got to prove it.
And Captain Greg Reed would spend much of his 30 years in law enforcement trying to do just that.
Any investigator that's been in it for a long time, they've got them cases that gnaw at them.
The case that's gnawed at Captain Reed was the senseless killing of 19-year-old Brooke Holsonback. A tragedy also still tearing at the broken hearts of Brooke's parents, Warren and Debbie.
I can still see her running into the house, hollering, "Mom and Dad, I'm home," or little things like that.
Brooke was the firstborn of the Holsonback's 3 children and the apple of her daddy's eye.
She was the light of my life.
And Brooke had a special glow that enchanted everyone, even when she was just a little girl growing up in the small country town of Prosperity, South Carolina.
When she walked in a room, she could just light it up. You know, she had a beautiful smile, her blonde hair, blue eyes. She enjoyed being with friends. She enjoyed being with her family.
Entertaining them by singing and dancing with little sister Kelly.
We didn't need a TV for entertainment. We had Brooke and Kelly, and they entertained us a lot.
Brooke's idea of fun was Christmas, family tailgate parties at the football game, and swimming in the lake. Her outgoing personality making her one of the most popular kids in town.
When she was in high school, she was a head cheerleader.
And the smartest girl in her class, being accepted into nearby Clemson University when she was still just in the 11th grade.
She got a letter and they said, you know, come up, you can major in whatever major you wanted.
So after graduating from high school, Clemson is where she went, majoring in biochemistry.
She was hoping that, you know, when she got through, she could maybe do some cancer research, and who knows, maybe even find a cure for cancer.
But Brooke would never get a chance to achieve her noble ambitions. Clemson University, it's a school known for its athletics and small-town appeal. But less than 2 miles from this picturesque campus, the freshman student lost her life.
The startling news spread quickly around the small university town.
And the story of what investigators think may have occurred is told in this police recreation video. Around 9:30 one night, Brooke visits the dorm room of classmate Brian Gallup, where he was hanging out with another student named Jeffrey Dubansky.
The guys wanted to go mud bogging. They've both been drinking a good bit, so she was going to drive for them. They ended up at the mud bog. They got stuck.
Then Brian and Jeffrey reportedly began arguing and tussling, and when the fight is over, they said Brooke was nowhere in sight.
According to them, she had just walked off.
And when Brooke doesn't return to the dorm, her roommate reports her missing to university police around noon the next day. At almost exactly the same time, a worker sees Brooke's body floating in Lake Hartwell, near the muddy field where she had reportedly gone four-wheeling with Bryant and Jeffrey the night before. At first, it appeared Brooke had drowned, but Detective Reed would soon learn this was no accident.
How did Brooke die?
She died as a result of strangulation. About 10 to 15 feet to the right of the boat dock, as well about 10, 15 feet out in the water.
And about a mile from Clemson University, where the 19-year-old co-ed had been a student for less than 6 months.
She was young and vibrant. How could her life have ended so tragically?
The coroner concludes that Brooke had been strangled after possibly being sexually assaulted.
There was some type of sexual altercation because she did have some minute lesions and tears around her vaginal area.
Minor abrasions were also found on other parts of her body. And Captain Greg Reed, then a detective sergeant leading the investigation, immediately questions the last people known to see Brooke alive, fellow students Brian Gallup and Jeffrey Dubansky, who he says are persons of interest, who, as shown in this police reenactment video, said they had gone four-wheeling with Brooke in a muddy field near the lake late the previous night.
Sometime after entering the field, they became stuck. They had a physical altercation between Jeff and Bryant. After their little wrestling match was over with, according to them, Brooke was gone. She had just walked off.
And they tell Captain Reed that when they couldn't find Brooke, it was decided Gallup would stay with the bogged car while Dubansky went to get help.
The only thing that they could say is she left.
But how did a night on the lake end up in murder?
Brooke can't give her side of the story. So we're having to go on just what these two guys can tell us, and it don't all make sense to me.
Captain Reed says he doesn't believe she would just walk away into the night in a dark, isolated area.
Think about it. Why would you walk away knowing you've got a long walk in the middle of the night? Why would you walk away from the only security you thought you had? Why would you do it? You wouldn't. No young lady would.
According to a police report, investigators observed bite marks on Dubansky, who claimed he got them during his tussle with Gallup. And Captain Reed recalls something Dubansky said happened when he crossed a bridge while walking to get help.
He said, when I got to the bridge, he said it was like something said something to me. He said, I looked up in the air, and I looked all the way around. He was only 50 yards or so from where Brooke's body was.
Captain Reed says Brian Gallup also told him something that struck him as odd, that he was watching as investigators retrieved Brooke's body from the lake.
While we was down here, he was sitting right up here on the road crying. And I asked him why he was crying. He said he just had a feeling something bad had happened to Brooke.
But there was no evidence to connect Dubansky and Gallup to Brooke's murder. Her body being dumped in the lake had washed off any DNA evidence, and nothing could be found at the field where Dubansky and Gallup said they and Brooke had gone four-wheeling.
We had torrential downpours for a couple of days, which was really bad, and it washed away anything that may or may not have been there.
Were Gallup and Dubansky administered polygraph tests?
Yes, there was. They voluntarily took polygraphs.
And what were the results of those?
The polygraph examiner said it was signs of deception on both of them.
Signs of deception when it came
to Brooke's death.
And when, I'm guessing you showed them the results?
Yes, I did.
And what were their responses?
Pretty much normal, you know, don't understand it, shouldn't have been that way, something must be wrong with the machine.
Gallup and Dubansky were never named as suspects, nor were they charged with anything in connection to the crime. They hired attorneys and refused to answer any more questions, leaving investigators with only their own theories about Brooke's murder.
We really feel like that she was placed in the water well before the vehicle becomes stuck. I feel like maybe that is just part of the alibi. Let's get the vehicle stuck. She walked off. Can we prove that? No, we can't.
Captain Reed also thinks Brooke may have been murdered after rebuffing sexual advances.
I believe that the strangulation was part of the control mechanism they was using to get what they wanted.
And that theory was included in this police reenactment video of Brooke's murder.
She's dead, man. What have you done? What are we gonna do?
Veteran victims advocate Laura Hudson wanted to see Brian Gallup and Jeffrey Dubansky arrested and taken to trial, but prosecutors didn't think they had enough evidence.
I looked at all the evidence that was there, listened to the experts that had been employed by the various law enforcement, and I felt like there was enough of a case to carry it forward. But no, prosecution did not agree with us.
And after Brooke's murder, both Gallup and Dubansky moved out of state. But Captain Reed actually took a team to Virginia Beach, Virginia, to keep Gallup under 24-hour surveillance for a month.
Did Gallup know he was being watched?
Yes, he did.
And what was his response?
It was a game to him. He would run red lights, throw some object, cigarette butts, stuff like that, flip them out his window trying to hit us.
But Detective Reed personally delivered a copy of this police reenactment video to Gallup.
Detectives have centered their investigation around Gallup and Dubansky.
I told him that I just wanted him to know that I was never going away, that he needed to remember me, and he needed to remember Brooke, and I handed him a copy of the tape, and I turned around and walked off.
I also paid Brian Gallup a visit to try to get his response to this story.
Mr. Gallup, Jason Matera with Crime Watch Daily. We're investigating the murder of Brooke Holsonback. We have some questions for you.
But there's no answer. And I get the feeling he's watching us right now on at least one of several surveillance cameras he has outside his house.
We know you're here. We saw people come in and out of your residence.
And his car is in the driveway.
Law enforcement has made some serious allegations, and we'd like to get Mr. Gallup's side of the story. If he was really Brooke's friend, I'm sure he would want to help out with the case, no?
It becomes clear I will not be talking with Brian Gallup today, even by phone.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Both Gallup and Dubansky failed to respond to numerous other attempts by Crime Watch Daily to get their side of the story. But Captain Reed urges whoever killed Brooke to come forward.
It's time to man up. This has went on for 19 years.
Will you ever let go of this case?
Absolutely not.
And Brooke's deeply religious family still believes whoever killed her will eventually face justice, one way or another.
One day they will have to face the ultimate judge. I mean, they can lie to people here on earth, but you know, when you're standing there in front of God, you can't lie to him. He knows what's in your heart.